Good morning, welcome. As you can see from our screen, we are Kathy and Ellen. I'm Ellen, if I have not met anybody in the group before, and that makes Kathy by process of elimination. We're thrilled that you are on with us today, and we have a very specific purpose in asking as many of our breakout presenters as possible to meet with us on one of the two times that are given as options, and we'll be in touch with other folks to take advantage of the recordings if they couldn't be with us. If you were at the Summer Institute last summer, you will probably remember it as a place of joy and a little bit of magic. We believe that that was the case because it was such a team effort. It was not magical because of us or any other singular people, but rather because everybody really worked together to rally around the themes of the event and to be true to what it was supposed to be all about. And I'm going to pick on a couple of you who were with us last year to just comment on your impressions from before. Sarah Corey, I saw that look of panic. I'm going to make you second, not first. So it's going to be all right. Annalise, as somebody who is very, very deeply grounded in authentic learning, what was your sense of last year's event?
I think my big takeaway, hello everybody, hi Precious. So my big giant takeaway, I think were two. First and foremost is that for the people who were participants, they appreciated having a space where they could interact with, learn from each other, but more importantly, really sort of feel like they were not alone. I heard that over and over again. And even in the sort of follow-up, the thing that people were so desperate for was a sense of community and collaboration and sort of cohort. That was one. The second was that everybody really appreciated the opportunity to interact as educators, but to really have a chance to focus and think about student voice, which is what brought Precious to the conversation. So I'm super, and she was amazing. And we heard that over and over again. And so I'm super excited about the way things are sort of structuring out in that sense. So those were my really big takeaways, that folks were struggling with interpreting student voice in the work that they were going to be doing. And so they really, really wanted to understand how the student felt and was impacted by this journey. And they appreciated having a space where they could grow together.
Thank you so much for those observations. Sarah, what would you add to that from a teacher perspective?
I think just connection, really connecting with like-minded individuals and creating those connections that followed throughout the school year. So I was able to join or lead an innovation team over the past school year, and that was really beneficial for me, and it was enlightening. The idea sharing was awesome. It kind of like filled my teacher cup back up after a rough school year, so I was ready to take on the new year.
We'd love to hear that. Precious, what about you?
Hi, my name is Precious O'Craftler. I'm a rising senior at Olenton Berlin High School. And like they said, I spoke with a panel of other students at the conference last year. And this take would be honestly just being able to have an open to our ideas. I think a lot of times teachers and collaboratives and figure out what students want and what students, they do that minus the students there. So just having the students there to be in that conversation really felt more authentic and on brand for what our whole entire goal and vision for this program was. So that was super cool to just be in a space that was actually honestly looking for student perspective and giving us the place and space to create, and while he's building rapport with one another and understanding each other's experiences. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Well, and it opened the door to us having more students on hand this year than last year, and that I'm sure that will grow from year to year. Jen Leahy, any observations from last year about what made it special?
Yeah, I think the the culture, the tone you all set, the variety of really purposeful topics, all these little cultural forces just really added up to a pretty exceptional experience.
Well, thank you. And folks, when you get there this year and you see some different things in the physical environment and a real effort to let people know from the get-go that they have landed in a really interesting and welcoming place. Jen Leahy is heading up a subcommittee of folks to make that happen. So we're really looking forward to that.
I think I just wanted to add to that so I had the opportunity I had like 80 some people in the related graduate class with the Summer Institute. And so they were all to do a reflection paper at the end of it. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go through these quickly. There's 80 of them and I got to get these grades, turned in and so forth. Well, I started with the first one and I couldn't stop reading. I got to the second one, I couldn't stop reading. And just piggybacking on what Sarah said, the overall theme, we were really glad that the student voice, the opportunity to focus on student voice was there. But I can't tell you how often people said, I've had the worst 2 years of my teaching career, and this made me want to come back and be joyful. And so I feel like this year we can really do both. As Precious said, a lot of times we talk about student voice, but we don't let kids talk. And so this year you're going to see more students presenting, not just participating, but presenting and then going to sessions. And so we think that will add, if there's a third annual, that will just get an even stronger theme of the Institute.
So this call is really a reminder more than anything else of what we're aiming for together. At every professional development event or conference that you attend will advertise a couple of themes, and I'm sure those folks mean it about their events. I really give them the benefit of the doubt on that. I'm sure they're sincere. We are completely determined to have people leave this event really feeling the three themes that we have established. When we talk about reimagining education, that should be happening across 2 days, constantly in people's conversations, in people's breakout sessions, and inspired by what the people on the main stage have to say to us and ask of us. When we talk about reconnecting with the joy of teaching, we will be crushed if people leave at the end of the day on July 20th and they're not reinvigorated. We will be sad, but that won't be the case because we're all going to rally around this together. The third theme is about empowering young people to change the world. And those of you that have known Kathy and me for any length of time know that we came to this kind of work largely around service learning in particular, as one form of authentic learning. And it's all about empowering kids to change the world at the school level, at the community level, at the global level. But many of the sessions are about that directly or indirectly. And by that, I mean, directly sometimes in talking about helping kids tackle important issues, but also indirectly in terms of encouraging kids to develop the kinds of skills and strengths and confidence that they need in order to go out and take those sorts of actions. So, more than anything else, we gather people for these calls to say, we know you've thought about those themes. You submitted wonderful proposals to reinforce them. please think about them just one more time deeply as you're putting your session together and getting ready to be part of a team effort. And ask yourselves again, around these three themes, is there anything else that I can do to make sure that I'm contributing toward those outcomes? Because that's really what we want. We'll talk about a few like details, nitty gritty things in a few minutes, but first we wanted everybody on the call to introduce themselves and just tell your colleagues what part of the Institute you're participating in, what's your corner of the world on all this. Precious, not just because I care about you deeply, but because you're in the upper left-hand corner of my screen, I'm going to let you start. Tell folks what your session is about.
Hi, my name is Precious Okarafor. Like I said earlier, I'm a rising senior at Owen St. Berlin High School, and my session is a collaborative with the Ohio State Student-Led Research Collaborative. So basically, our entire session is going to be centered around students having the opportunity to talk about their research topics that they spend a lengthy amount of time on. So basically, we have this method called YPAR, and it stands for Youth Participatory Action Research Collaboration. And basically, students are faced with a problem that they identify themselves with their school building, and then they come up with recommendations using both qualitative and quantitative data, and they're going to explain their research project and tell or share the recommendations that they came up with. And the ultimate goal of the session is to help other administrators and staff members from different schools recognize the importance of authentic learning experiences when students get to choose their project of say, if you will. So yeah, and I also wanted to quickly introduce my colleague Durga. I know she's somewhere in the chat. Durga, if you want to unmute yourself real quick and add to it.
Hi, I'm Durga. I'm also a rising senior at Olentangy Berlin, and I will be working with Precious along for the presentation. And I think Precious did a great job of explaining what we're going to do, but basically we want to kind of focus on how students through this collaborative were empowered to develop their relationship with administrators, and how they were empowered to speak up and communicate their needs with the administrators.
Thanks. We'll be so glad to have you, and there will be kids from other schools as well.
Let me just remark one of the things too, and I think Ellen will probably talk a little more about this later through the Martha Holden Jennings Foundation experience about the trickle-down effect, that people are hearing about these presentations and what they're learning at the Institute. But I wanted to let our two students know that we were sharing your projects with some high school teachers about 2 weeks ago, and they want to propose that model as a high school course at their high school. Just, you never know where these ideas are going to lead. And so we're very appreciative of how well you've been able to articulate this.
Absolutely. Sarah Faust, why don't you go next?
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Faust. I currently work over at COSI as the manager of the online education experiences. I've been here for just over a year. My other background was at OSU for about 12 years. So I come from the higher ed STEM education. I have a background in DBER or discipline-based education research. I'm really into active learning, authentic learning, but also equity and justice in education, and helping students build science identities and feel connected to the world around them.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. James Browder.
I teach at Granville Middle School. I'm actually partnering with two of my colleagues so that we have a swath of sort of our journey as a district with SDL, Student Directed Learning. So we'll have a special ed teacher presenting from the intermediate school. I'll be talking about what it looks like at the middle school, and then we'll have a high school environmental science teacher talking as well. Myself personally, I'll just be sharing my journey. I started with the book Drive, and it sort of reignited this passion. I went back to my original opening house slide from 17 years ago, my first year of teaching, because I wanted to bring that into what I'm going to share with people at the Summer Institute. And I did this really, what's that?
You must have been 12 at the time. You lived
Right. Thank you. I did this really janky ELA Depot, you can do it, I can help graphic in PowerPoint. I must have thought I was really creative back then, but I had this constructivist approach to education definition on that slide. And it's just, it was interesting to think back of how high stakes testing and some of the pushes in our district have taken me away from that core belief that I started off as a teacher, and how I've kind of waned back and forth, and how I've gotten myself back to putting that as a priority. And so I started an elective here at Granville Middle School called Experiential Learner Mastermind, that is really about reminding kids that they're supposed to be curious about the world, and they should have passions, and that they should be empowered to do really big things right now, even as a middle schooler, to change the world in a positive way around those things that they're really passionate about. And so we do a lot of partnerships, so I'll be sharing that journey and the amazing things that these kids do as a result of taking that elective, and then how that shaped my ELA classroom. I teach SDL sections of language arts, and how that is completely, because of what I saw happening successful there, has changed my regular instruction in the regular content area as well.
Thank you. You hear these themes coming out, everybody? I do. Annalise, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Annalise Corbin. I'm founder and president and CEO of the PAST Foundation. We're based here in Columbus, Ohio, but we work all over the states and other parts of the US. We do a lot of work around education transformation. And I will be partnering up again this year with Steve Shapiro, and we will be hosting a keynote forum. That's the forum that Precious participated in last year. This year, we're going to focus on the teacher and administrator experience in the transformation process. You'll also be hearing from a lot of folks that are doing this work from around the country through a video that's being put together that we will be using with that. And so we'll be talking with folks in the trenches, in the field, that are doing this work, the things that work really well, the things that they're struggling with, just so that you can have some context for other folks in that space. And then I will also be doing again a workshop breakout session around what we like to call it past the 5 Kevlar threads for successful transformations. And basically, these are 5 entities that we've seen from our work around the country and other parts of the world, really, really successful, student-led, fully autonomous, hands-on programs. There's lots of great elements, but when you peel sort of back the onion, what you find is all the really, really successful programs or transformations that are sustainable, and that's the really key here. The ones that actually will work over time, that really impact student identities, impact the way the community sort of feels empowered to move forward, that there are 5 elements that every single one of those have. And so we're going to be talking about what those 5 elements are and just really digging into that. So I'm excited to be back again. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Roberta.
Hi, I'm Roberta Bioni. I'm with Lutheran Social Services. I'm the Director of Volunteer Engagement. My session, Laura Thompson, who's also on this call, will be co-facilitating with me. And our goal is to really gain some insight from educators around the best tools that can be used to engage elementary and middle schoolers around, education, advocacy, awareness of homelessness and domestic violence. It's something that our agency has long been wanting to build, but honestly just hasn't really quite had the bandwidth for. So this is a really great opportunity for us, just to make sure that we are engaging younger kids in appropriate ways. We have a lot of opportunities to engage, obviously, adults and even older students, high school students, college students. But it's always been a little tricky for us to really, in meaningful ways, engage younger students in these types of topics. So we are excited to, like I said, gain some of that insight from the folks who are professionals. So thank you for the opportunity.
You bet. So those of you that were there last year may remember that we had a special set of working groups that came under the heading of Service Learning Design Challenge, where we had several community agencies who had identified an actual problem that they are facing, and they engaged the educators in thinking about those problems and generating potential solutions and strategies. And the purpose in our doing that was to have educators experience high quality service learning so that they would be inspired to implement that strategy with kids. And so Roberta's agency is one of 7 that are participating with us this year. There will be 4 of them that will work in one of the times for breakouts, and the other 3 will be in a different time slot. But we're very much looking forward to that again. Thanks.
One of the things that also I'm hearing as you go through this, at other conferences I've been to, I hear about something and here's the 5 steps to do this project. And what all of you are talking about is the journey you took, the lessons learned, the 5 Kevlar facts, the journey that James took. So, and when you talk about sustainability, it's not enough to know the 5 steps to do a project, but it's a way of thinking. We're trying to help people look at things differently, think about how I can take this experience and then transfer it to a new experience so that it is sustainable.
Absolutely. Feel free as when it's your turn to share your topic and a bit of your passion. I will keep us moving so that we get everybody in by noon. So Sarah, go ahead.
I'm Sarah Curry. I teach 2nd grade at Talmadge Elementary School, Talmadge, Ohio. My session is going to be about getting outside, creating outdoor education spaces, or bringing out the outside in to create authentic learning for our students. If you couldn't tell, my passion is the outdoors. And so that's really where this started. So our session will be focused on just idea sharing. And the goal is that everybody can leave with a large or small idea that they can implement right out the door. So
perfect. Ben, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ben Jurek, and I'm the Education Program Manager at Drink Local, Drink Tap. We are a Cleveland-based nonprofit organization that builds and maintains both wells and sanitation facilities in Africa. And our organization also has an education arm where we help young people tackle, these huge issues like climate change, environmental justice, and we look to empower them with small tools and scaffolds to ensure that they can make a difference. So with my presentation at the Institute, we're looking at several case studies of young people here in Northeast Ohio that have implemented some small change within their community, and hearing direct feedback from educators to see, what else we can add to ensure that we're not missing anything as we build this process. Thank you.
Terrific. Who we have here on Kat's screen there? Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kat Lynch. I work at the Columbus Museum of Art as a teaching artist and coordinator for young child programming, which includes teaching in our laboratory preschool classroom. Over the past couple of years, 4 years or so, also full permission to Jen Lehue, who is sitting across the cubicle wall from me, to jump in and fill in any gaps, because as she knows, speaking off the cuff can sometimes go horribly awry for me. But for the past couple of years, we've been working on a project called Cultivating Creative and Civic Capacities. It's a framework that we started and developed with researchers at Project Zero and a group of K-12 public school teachers in our area. We spent 3 years developing the framework, and then the past year we've been sort of experimenting, trying new things, working with other K-12 teachers. And our current goal is we're looking to expand the accessibility of the framework. And so even though this is going to be a session open to everyone, I'm really sort of putting a special shout out to teachers who work with kids with exceptionalities, because we know those teachers know firsthand the awesome gifts and opportunities that those particular learners bring. And we want to sort of hear from them on how to make some of our tools in the framework a bit more accessible.
That's great. We appreciate that focus because we know that we need to pay attention to that, and we appreciate your help with it. Jen, go ahead with yours.
Hey, so I'm Jen Leahy. I'm the Crane McKee Associate Director for Learning Innovation here at CMA. And my session is around taking these themes of reimagining, reconnecting, and empowerment to the leadership level, thinking about how possibility thinking, imagination, investigation, and influence can enable us as leaders, whatever our leadership looks like, whatever our locus of influence is, to reframe our challenges into possibilities, model this kind of reimagination. It's going to be a very participatory session, drawing on some of the practices that we've been developing here around imagination, investigation, and creative agency.
Thank you.
And I'm also working on the entrance experience and incorporating some surprise and delight, as Kathy and Ellen alluded.
Yes, you are.
Just very fun.
You know, what you hear throughout everybody's comments is that you've been so responsive to our requests that sessions be highly participatory, and that again is something to revisit in your final planning to make sure that folks don't feel like they've been to a presentation, but they've been to an experience. Alice.
Hi, my name is Alice Eichley. I am an 8th grade teacher in Upper Arlington. I teach 8th grade American history at Jones Middle School. And my session is called The Power of Connection. And it really focuses on really simple tools that teachers can use to have kids make connections in the classroom. So they're things that I just made up and created and have really found a lot of power in over the years. And I can pick up a deck of cards and use them with any topic that I need to. And so I want to really show different ways that we can have kids do the thinking and kids doing the talking and kids making the connections in simple ways for teachers. This has I was in the classroom for 11 years, and then I took 5 years and I was a teacher leader, and I just never could really get people to engage with me. And so then I was like, I'm going back to the classroom. So I went back to the classroom and have really treated it like a lab. I've tried to get rid of things like grades and just really talk about what kids know, what they're able to do, how they make whatever we're talking about connect to them and their lives. That has led me to a doctorate. So I am pretty much all but dissertation at this point. I've got 2 more classes, and my whole focus is on creativity, but not, it has to do with student voice, but I think we have a really big gap in that we just assume teachers are creative, and we just assume teachers know how to do things, we being the royal we of education, that we just say, go be creative, and we expect teachers to just know what to do. So my work and my dissertation and the past 2 years of work has been on digging into creativity. What is it? What are the different kinds of creativity? Because we also tend to think of creativity as these big, like, oh my God moments, but how can we have these little, what we call little C moments that are really impactful? Also looking at barriers. So what is standing in the way of teachers engaging in the creative process?
Right.
So yeah, that's the work I'm doing right now, is writing a dissertation on creativity.
Very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
I have Elle Thompson. Go ahead. There you go.
Hi, I'm Laura Thompson. I'm the volunteer engagement manager at Choices, which which is a domestic violence shelter with Lutheran, part of Lutheran Social Services. And I'm actually presenting with Roberta Bayani, who spoke just a little bit earlier about wanting to connect with younger kids on topics about homelessness and domestic violence. So we'll be together.
Terrific. Alyssa Reeder.
Points for you for getting my last name right on the first try. My name is Alyssa Reeder. I am a STEM program coordinator at the PASS Foundation. My session is going to be around incorporating STEM and ELA practices in an early childhood elementary classroom. PAST is partnered with Ad Astra Media, who is a company that produces various educational media, books, comics, videos for anywhere from ages 3 through beyond high school. And we've worked with them on their Goodnight Little series, which features various characters that are within STEM careers, but they're young children, and they're also children that are of maybe minorities. And so we are going to be looking at educational content that PAST has created that goes along with these books, and how you can incorporate ELA practices into these particular activities. And it'll be through an inquiry process. So I'm going to read one of the books to them and then give them the activity. And looking at it from a lens of a student, but then also coming at it as an educator of how then they can insert various ELA practices within that activity. And the idea is to do this with a couple of the modules that we've created for the book. So I think we're going to be looking at Goodnight Little Astronaut, and then we're also going to be looking at Goodnight Little Doctor. So the idea is that they'll walk away with the understanding and confidence that they can do STEM in their classrooms and still engage in literacy in that transdisciplinary viewpoint. So that's the goal.
Wonderful. Sonia, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Sonia Thiesing, and I'm the executive director at Huckleberry House. We serve at-risk and homeless youth in the Central Ohio region. So among our other programs, we have transitional living, we do outreach, and we have a counseling program. But the program at Huckleberry House we're going to focus on in our service learning design challenge is our teen crisis shelter. So we operate the only 24-hour shelter for 12 to 17-year-olds experiencing crisis in a 16-county area. Pre-pandemic, we say that in normal years, we were serving between 500 and 600 teenagers a year. Since the pandemic and our lower ability to be doing outreach to students, we are tracking this year, have my latest data that I'll be sharing at the event. We're looking at about 350 kids. So we know the need is great. We just aren't seeing the youth who need to know about us. So our challenge is going to be to have teachers help us think of ways they can be feet on the ground for us, recognizing the youth who might need our services. So understanding the youth we serve and thinking about students they've met that might need to be connected to an organization like Huck House. So we're excited to spend, I think it's about I don't know if it's an hour or 90 minutes, but with people who are with the youth we're trying to identify every day. So excited to see what we learn together.
Yeah, we'll clarify the time frame when we meet with y'all later this month. It's a 2-hour block, but that's not all you. So yeah. Right. Okay, let's see. Kristen Bugnitz.
Hi, my name is Kristen Bugnitz, and I'm an elementary library media specialist in Upper Arlington at Tremont. And one of my colleagues from Windermere, the media specialist there, during the pandemic, our principals had kind of tasked us with coming up with just daily video announcements, as we were all grasping for different ways to make connections. And over the past 3 years, it's evolved from something that we kind of had like a Daily Show vibe to start. It was much more adult driven to something that the students completely own, even from such a young age. Like it's been amazing to see how we can provide as a platform to bring everyone to the center at some point and celebrate everybody's unique differences. And so I think as we roll into year 4, each of us, we've thought long and hard about what are the things we wish we knew about trying to get student news productions going for younger kids, and how could we create a network to maybe support each other throughout the region.
Terrific, thank you. Eva Gale.
Hi there, my name is Abigail Staten, and I'm
I'm
actually
sorry I murdered your first name. I'll never do it again.
it's Abigail. I'm from Buckeye Valley in Ohio. I'm a school counselor, and what I'm going to be talking about is revitalizing school community. So, after pandemic, I'm an elementary school counselor. Our kids does not really know a whole lot of social skills because of that gap. And so I started pretty slow, but really the goal of what I'm going to talk about is for all the students from pre-K to 5th to learn like social skills, self-awareness, social awareness, relational building, problem solving, and also for our attendance to be better and for the kids to feel like they belong and they're welcome. So as soon as they get into the school, there are ambassadors that were selected by, selection from teachers. It started that way, but then it transpired to, I have worked with our speech therapist, with our interventional therapists, with our teachers, and the kids that truly could use a little bit of building up. So we even have students who their parents pass away and they have sense of purpose every day. And it's not even me doing it. They're assigned to 4th and 5th graders are assigned to lower level grades. And the kids are the one who's encouraging them and making them feel like they are doing something really big, which they are, and that they are needed there every day. And so our attendance has gotten better, our behavior went downhill, and really it made the whole school just feel like we are united and there's a sense of community more in our school. And it's something that I'm excited to share because our principal actually is the one who encouraged me to talk about it because of how it has impacted our school and our dean of student. So it has really made a big difference and I just can't wait to talk about it.
Well, we can't wait to hear. Shelley, go ahead.
Oh. Hi, I'm Shelley Bloom. This is not my co-presenter. We just, are here for the summer.
It's okay if it is.
I mean, it's pretty cute. My name is Shelley Bloom. I'm a gifted intervention specialist over at Tremont Elementary School in Upper Arlington. And I am going to be doing a session on my background before the 4 years that I was at GIS. With all middle school math. And I really struggled as a middle school math teacher to get through the content standards and still provide authentic learning opportunities for my students. And so my session is going to be on how to reconsider restructuring a flipped classroom for middle level and upper, potentially upper elementary, but mostly middle school or high school teachers so that they could find time to get through the standards that they need to, while to create space for authentic learning opportunities. So I'm going to walk through different tools that are available and how I kind of structure it. And then the people who attend the session are going to be able to have some time to think about what a potential lesson plan might look like.
Great, thank you. Annalise, is there somebody else behind where it says Annalise's Otterpilot?
Oh no, I forget that does that. My apologies.
No, no problem.
It's an AI tool we've been experimenting with. So you can disregard it. My apologies. I forget that it travels with me. I haven't quite figured out what to do with it yet.
That's okay. That's okay.
I love technology, right?
Please wave or signal us if I have not gotten your input yet. I think we got everybody, but I just want to make sure.
I think so.
Okay, all right. So here are a couple of things to keep in mind just logistically. Most of you will be attending the whole event, and so it's not important to remember how far ahead of time to arrive. But for those of you that are coming in from a community site and you're only coming for your session, we hope that you'll get there at least 30 minutes ahead so that we can make sure that you have everything you need and that we get you set up properly. When you arrive, you're going to want to stop at the regular registration area where you actually get your name tag and your folder, but then also, if you would please follow, we'll probably send you an email before the Institute
will.
that tells you exactly where which room we're using as the presenter center. But we want you to also stop in there so we can check you off the list and make sure everybody that we're counting on in a certain time frame is really on the property. So regular registration area, then presenter center, and then we'll get you set up with coffee, drink, snacks, whatever you need prior to your session.
Yeah, we will send you an email with all this. So
yeah.
And then there were a few people, actually more than a few people last year that had whether they wanted to connect to the TVs that were in the classroom. There will be a TV in all the classrooms. You'll have instructions on how to do it. Even with instructions last year, we'd had a few people that had trouble. So we'll have somebody in the presenter center to show you how to do it if you have any concern at all. There will also be help in the hallways outside the classrooms if you run into trouble. But if you're not 100% sure that you know how to connect to the TV, if you have a presentation, just make sure you get there early enough that somebody can show you in the presenter center how to do that. Oh, and also, we still want you to register. You should have gotten an email from us with directions how to register on Sketch. So if you have any issues, make sure you, and if you have co-presenters, all register so we have a record of who's there.
Finally, I know that every single person that is part of this call cares deeply about the kids in this country, and that you care deeply about the future of schools and about the teaching profession. I can't possibly tell you how grateful we are that you are part of this effort to make teaching special, to make learning special for kids. We want July 19th and 20th to be a place of deep learning, a place of great fun and joy and collaboration. And it takes all of us to make that happen. It is really like putting the pieces of a beautiful puzzle together. And thank you so much for doing your part to make that happen. If you need anything at all from us in advance, have any questions, concerns, never hesitate to get in touch, either by email or phone, regardless of when it is. Do it when it's convenient for you. And let's just look forward to a great time together in July.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.